reason, and there's really no way to tell if one is predisposed, develop an immoderate dread of this unique brand of suck, a fear so intense that it leads eventually to avoidance behaviors, ranging from reduced effort. Your coach might not notice the difference between 95 and 100%, but you sure as hell do, to faked injuries. These runners are known within the sport as head cases, and I was one of them. I hadn't always been. The previous year's Hanover Invitational had been an occasion of personal triumph. As a 10th grader, I'd placed 6th in the 3,200 meters, crossing the finish line a few ticks under 10 minutes, a huge personal best. While this performance did not quite mark me as a future Olympian, it impressed Coach Bob Rothenberg at Brown University, my first-choice college, enough to tell me when I visited the campus in the fall of '87 that if I was able to lower my time in the same event by 15 or 20 seconds before I applied, he could all but guarantee admission. My grades and SAT scores were solid. Rothenberg had intended these words as an encouragement, but they signaled the beginning of the end of my sporting aspirations. It wasn't the pressure they imposed that did me in. So-called chokers who fear failure and cave under pressure are an entirely different breed of headcase. The true seed of my athletic demise, rather, was what my prospective future coach's articulated standard required of me. To meet it, I had to not only mature physically, which was a given, and step up my training, which was doable as I ran just 35 miles per week as a sophomore, but also try even harder and suffer still more in races, and these demands turned out to be deal breakers. Where the running, cliff-dangling analogy falls apart is at the fact that in a race, the alternative to hanging on is not certain death. It's relief. The suffering you endure in a race like the 3,200-meter run that I had just been called to check in for is self-imposed. You choose it. But the choice is not binary. To suffer or not to suffer, there are infinite degrees of trying and suffering. At no point during such a race, except in the final sprint to the finish, are you trying as hard as you can. You're pacing yourself, saving a little something for that final sprint. You have to. And so, no matter how great your present torment may be, you always retain the physical capacity to increase your pace to match the surge of a competitor, however briefly, or to hold on just a bit longer to a rival who's setting the pace. The question is, can you bear to? Most runners, beginners especially, don't recognize this freedom. When they choose to let a competitor go, they don't think they're choosing. I myself did not discover that I could try harder and suffer more until I rose to the level of high stakes, where the decision to hang on or let go became a choice between winning and not winning, between getting into Brown and not getting in. Only then did I learn that I had the capacity to dig deeper, but with each succeeding race, I found it harder to take the plunge or even face its prospect. My panic at the announcement of first call for my event ascended swiftly from my noodly legs to my roiling stomach to my cotton tongue to my vulnerable brain, where an idea hatched with the jolting suddenness of an epiphany. I would sneak away from the track and conduct my pre-race strides on a soccer pitch, hidden behind a small grandstand, killing time there until the race started, at which point I would dash back to the track in phony alarm, pretending I hadn't heard the announcements. No sooner had this craven escape plan come to me than I began to carry it out, as though some outside force were controlling my body. A variety of emotions wrestled within me as I ran from end line to end line on the freshly mowed playing surface. Strongest among them was exhilaration, the thrill of the illicit risk. Almost as powerful was relief, a bosomy comfort that came from knowing I would be spared the suffering of racing today. But then there was the spoiler, shame. A part of me, a part I would later come to know as the person I want to be, looked on in utter disgust as the rest of me perpetrated this gutless charade. All the other boys who had committed to race the 3,200 would show up and take their medicine. I alone lacked the balls. Compounding my shame was the fact that I felt terrific physically, light and bouncy and bursting with well-earned fitness. No doubt about it, I had a Brown-worthy performance.